Talk about your dad.
Oh, God. My dad was nicknamed the Filthy Bastard, or Filth for short. This is because he would sit in his rotting chair, as we called it, piss in bottles, shit in buckets, and make a mess. And the mess he made was, and this was just him being pure lazy. This was before he started to suffer health problems where they had to remove his hip. When they did that, he started doing shitting and pissing in buckets twice as much. And while he was sitting in his fucking rotting chair, he would always watch porn. Now, originally, when I was a fucking little kid, I'd steal his porn collection because it was all like, most of it was like your standard, like fucking lesbians or straight people fucking or solo scenes and all this. There's only a small amount of fucking spanking and BDSM shit on there. But by the time I was an adult, he had gone straight off the deep end into Shizer porn, fucking, and just vile shit. And some of it was like fucking hilarious. There was this one video series called Spanked Enema Nurse. And watching this shit, and we had a party game because where my father went to the hospital to get his surgery and shit, we threw house cleaning parties. And one of the fucking party games we had was guess the difference in each edition of Spanked Enema Nurse. In one edition, in one of them, you'd have two girls going through everything. And in this one scene, the girl is kneeling down in a corner on a carpet. And the only thing to change in the very next edition was during that same scene where she's kneeling down in the corner, she's doing so on top of hairbrushes. Only thing that fucking changed. And then, the thing that would change from that one to the next one was in one scene, she says, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit." Then the next edition, very same scene, very same shit going down throughout the entire thing. She says, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck" in that scene. It's as if they were trying to nail a perfect, fucking Spanked Enema Nurse fucking fantasy. We had assumed.
If you watch number 1 and then watch number 12, it'll look completely different. But if you watch
it still didn't look completely different. We had assumed by the time they reached Spanked Enema Nurse 100, they would actually have two different girls. That's how little changed in each edition. That we figured they would have two different girls running off a completely different script.
It's just funny. I mean, there must be some good acting. Okay, we're gonna do Spanked Enema 23. Oh, I already did that last.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Doug Stanhope's joke is that when you're 12, all you need is a National Geographic to get you off. And then of course, as you get more into it, it gets more to the point where So, but I will say the only time I've ever pissed in bottles is when I had nothing else to do, like when the bathroom was clogged up, or a certain night in a truck that will never be mentioned again.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see here, one of the things that my dad would do while we were partying, is pound on the wall and yell upstairs, "Jimmy, empty my shit bucket." Sometimes I'd fucking trade someone a couple hits of acid to, fucking empty a shit bucket because I didn't feel like doing it again.
And he had a grudge against you for living, apparently.
Oh, yeah. He had a grudge against me for living. I was the reason he never got to finish college. Meanwhile, looking at his transcripts, a few years after this, I see that, his grades just weren't that great, but his attendance was there. So, he pretty much just dropped out because he sucked as a chemist.
But of course, he has to blame someone. You've told me he claimed your death in the Oklahoma City bombing.
He did that whenever Financially called home. And, I'm partly to blame here, too, because the entire reason Financially was calling home was the fact that I was skipping so much class at college because I was fucking living it up instead of going to class. So, yeah, but still, he is partly to blame for saying, my son died in the Oklahoma City bombing. And, And that's just because, he was upset that I was spending one more semester in college than he did.
That's a bit vindictive.
Mm-hmm. So, the whole entire process of getting up to my party attic was first you had to pass the trial of the fucking filthy bastard, which there was this stench. Now, this guy, my father, would literally bathe in hand sanitizer. He would occasionally wash up in the sink, maybe once a month, but usually it was just him in hand sanitizer rubbing himself down. So he really didn't do anything to really cover his own body odor and stench. Keeping in mind, he's shitting in buckets, pissing in bottles the whole time, masturbating to God knows what porn, and he would burn fucking frankincense. Mostly. There was other incenses he would burn, but mostly frankincense. And all these odors would congeal into this fucking vomitous mess that would just hang there like fucking pea soup and make you want to vomit. You had to walk past this scene, keeping in mind that it might be a day that he's fucking masturbating to the most vile porn you've ever seen. 2 females, 1 midget, and I have no idea if the fucking midget survived that whenever they got the cutting involved. But shit.
There's
and we're talking, late 80s, early 90s, transsexuals.
Yeah.
Where they, didn't have the fucking plastic surgery technique to actually make them look real feminine, so you could tell that they were originally men, no matter, how lazy your eye was.
Yeah. There's a certain point in time where that would have been me. I'm fat enough to be one, and my hygiene isn't amazing, but I've gone down a different path. Let's put it that way.
But if you could pass the trial of getting past the filthy bastard, the stench, just the aroma of fucking vileness, the mess, the sights of him possibly masturbating to porn or shitting in a bucket or standing up and pissing in a bottle. If you could withstand that trial and make it up the stairs, you were then in the party palace.
And you went to therapy when you were a kid, and they didn't believe that your father was a bastard.
Oh yeah, fucking shit. These were strictly Freudian schooled shrinks. And instead of, using it as a guide, they wanted to make everything they came in contact with conform to Freudian theory. So when I would tell them that my father was a bastard, and even though I would be honest about my mother, saying, well, she's no saint either, but she's a million times better than dad. All the times he would fucking hit me as a kid, blame me for shit, punish me just for waking him up. I got punished my fucking first day of school, had my fucking ass tanned because the school called home and asked if they wanted to put me in fucking advanced classes, and he was pissed off at me because that phone call interrupted his 12 hours of sleep.
God damn.
Mm-hmm. So, this is my fucking childhood here. And I'm explaining this to the fucking shrinks who are having no part of it. It's all Oedipus complex all the way. Glorify the mother, but the father, is complete scum because I want to fuck my mother, because that's how fucking Oedipus complex works, and I'm too young to do so it's all this frustration and more hatred towards dad, not realizing I was fucking being honest about how fucking bestial he was.
The funny thing about the story of Oedipus is that he actually killed himself when he found out that he married his mother.
Yep.
I always thought that was a funny name for a complex, when in fact he had killed his mother. Yeah.
Well, at any rate, this went on, and I went through a few different shrinks because I started stealing their books and started using their psychology against them. Well, one day, while I was home on fucking visit, I was rummaging through my dad's porn collection, and I found this book called Mother Was Best. And yeah, it was incest porn. It was, all, written, no pictures or anything, just, normal fucking porn book about incest. And I fucking sat there and read it. And the next session I had with one of the doctors, I told them about my dad's porn collection. They had a bunch of spanking porn and, all this other shit. And then I told them about this book called Mother Was Best. And I remember saying, oh, well, there's this one point where, like, the son has sex with his mother. Then son and mother have sex with the brother's boyfriend, which is going to be his half-sister. And then the half-sister has sex with her father. And then they all have sex together. And then then the football team goes upstairs and has sex with the mother and sister while the son and father go out and have ice cream. This is whenever they started believing me that my father was a bastard. I mean, it actually, and, I look at it as like, why the fuck would you judge his porn collection? Okay. Because porn is supposed to be fantasy.
Well, I guess I leaving it somewhere for a child to get into it. I
was under his bed and I wasn't supposed to be allowed in his bedroom. But, kids fucking don't give a shit.
Yes, well, no one's allowed in my bedroom now, but people still come in this shit. I've actually studied Freudian psychology because I'm kind of one could call me an amateur sociologist, but I've actually studied Freudian psychology, and I've come to a conclusion that Freud was full of shit.
Yeah, he was fucking stoned off his ass half the time.
And everything was about...
And like everything he says makes complete sense in a drunkard sort of way, where like, this is the fucking drunken ramblings of a guy in a fucking tavern, the typical bar fly just going, and there's the ego, the super ego, and
it's funny because there was one success that they kept talking about, that some guy in a village had some dreams, and they said it's because he'd seen his parents having sex, and the guy had said later on, that's not likely to happen, because in my village we sleep in a different room. And he was very upset that people were using his quote success as justification for this bullshit hypothesis. That's just a little history there. What other stories can we think of? Let's see. So they finally started listening to one of my favorites. It has anything to do with, but your attempts to get out of the straitjacket.
Oh, fuck. That shit. Well, I remember it was fucking visitation day, and my parents weren't going to come that day. So I fucking acted up and got put in the seclusion room inside a straitjacket. Purposefully, because I wanted to get out. Now, I just got done watching a movie, or I forget, I think it was a movie, where someone, dislocated their shoulder to get out of a straitjacket. And I thought, cool, I could do that. The first time was whenever I fucking taped the fucking busted coat hanger underneath my armpit. Getting out with the shoulder, that was the second time. And trust me, dislocating your shoulder purposefully took a lot more force than what the fucking movie looked. A few more attempts, and it hurts like a goddamn motherfucker, both putting it out and putting it back in. And for years, my fucking left arm would fucking pop out of its socket for no reason. But anyways, the first time I got on my straitjacket, I used the fucking coat hanger I'd fucking taped under there purposefully because I knew I was going to try to get out. And when I ripped out of the straitjacket, the seclusion room doors at the time were latched so that you weren't supposed to, you had to like pull it open from the inside, but there was no handle on the inside. Yet there was this little gap underneath the door that, you know, a child's fingers could fucking fit into. And there was this little gap in between the front layer and the back layer of the door that, you know, I could just grab onto. And it took a little tugging and a lot of pain, but I was fucking able to open the door. And when I did, I looked around, you know, and all the fucking staff's taking care of all the visitation. And I just sneak out with one of the families that, you know, came to visit. And no one's the wiser because I'm still in my fucking street clothes. You know, since I just broke out of the fucking straitjacket that they threw me in. And when I snuck out, I started hitchhiking down the road. And when I hitchhiked down the road, I was giving them instructions to go to Chuck E. Cheese because we had been there a couple times on outings from the Loony bin. So, you know, every time I picked up by someone, I was a bit closer. Then I fucking got there and I put on a party hat and pretended to be part of this kid's birthday party that just happened to be there. Convenient. And I got some free tokens, free pizza. And, you know, after, you know, about half an hour, I went to leave. Keep in mind, this whole process is taking, you know, most of the fucking day. And I hitchhiked my way back. I know the last car that fucking was driving me gave me a weird look when I said, stop here in front of the sign that said Mayview State Mental Facility. And I fucking walk back in and, you know, they're still taking care of all these people. And I fucking do my hiding routine. And I sit there and finally get back in my seclusion room, close the door, and I still got a fucking party hat on. I forgot to take the fucking party hat off. God, the interrogation from the shrink that day. Where were you? I don't know. How'd you get out of your straitjacket? I don't know. Just every question my way was, I don't know. They eventually asked me, who are you? I don't know. And they fucking lost it because this is the first shrink I was working on, trying to drive nuts using Freudian psychology against them. You make them question their God.
So what did they do when he said, I don't know who I am?
They fucking called security, but it was on themselves.
What?
Yeah. And they wanted escorted to, you know, someone who could fucking take them because they didn't trust themselves with me because they wanted to fucking strangle me because I was fucking pissing them off all the time. You know, I always say the story. I used to say the story like, oh, they were fucking institutionalized, but I honestly don't know what really happened after that. They might have just gone, talked to someone, then, you know, gotten a transfer. But I knew that the fucking one security guard took me back to my room, and the others were taking the shrink elsewhere.
Great, you drove someone, at least somewhat insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the problem with shrinks is that they're very logical well, not logical, but like, I wouldn't have bought any of that shit if you know, where were you? I would have been like, you little shit, you're wearing a party hat. Tell me where you are. Tell me where you went. Or I'm going to bulldoze your balls into the sand.
And that's why you're not a shrink. You have to be compassionate, even though they got pissed off at me and threatened to. And the funny part was, I did nothing criminal to go there. I signed myself in because I was a little suicidal kid because boo-hoo, I was fucking molested a few times as a kid. And my classmates bullied me, started calling me a fag, even though I was straight and all that. All because I was forced to play a little game called Sucking Cock, as the fucking pedophile fucking called it. And, you know, all this shit's going on. And then, you know, that starts to die down, you know, as I start playing football and shit, and everyone starts liking me because I'm like one of the best people in midget football on the defensive line because I always made the hole for someone right behind me to go and fucking get the quarterback, just completely rush them and force them to do whatever. And, you know, lots of yards lost and shit. Until I twisted my ankle one day in practice. And everyone started calling me a fucking faker and all this because I was walking on my cast shortly after because I was a fucking pussy. You know, I fucking cried a lot, got a cast on a twisted fucking ankle. And then, a few days after I got the cast, I stopped using the crutches, started walking. So everyone called me faker. Then someone brought up, when I was fucking molested years earlier. And, I fucking went all fucking suicidal mode and shit. So I had myself signed into the Loony bin. And I was first at fucking Western Psych for a couple months. And I spent one Christmas there. I spent the other Christmas at fucking Mayview. And it took a couple shrinks going through a few of them, fucking agitating them and shit. Because, eventually they started saying, oh, God, his dad's a bastard. And the whole time, that I'm fucking telling them, no, my dad really is this bastard. They were threatening to send me to Schumann Center, which is the criminal, which was juvenile hall, basically, the fucking psych ward of juvenile hall. Whenever I'd done nothing criminal at that point.
Yeah, at that point. I was going to say, you just started getting me thinking about midget football. Which would be
awesome.
I do want to use that scene of your interrogation in some sort of script because that's so good as a scripted scene.
Oh yeah.
Another one of my love for your mental hospital days is banging your head against the wall.
Oh yeah. This was in the TV room, and I was going through one of my suicidal fits, and I decided I was going to fucking hit my head off this fucking plexiglass window that was twin paned and had fucking wire mesh going through it to reinforce it.
Damn.
And the staff is sitting there pointing and laughing at me while I'm doing it, thinking this ain't going to do nothing. He's going to tire himself out and get tired. Well, eventually I ended up hitting it so many times and with so much force that the thing shattered. And the moment I went to hit my head against it after it shattered, I had about 6 people fucking piling on top of me, throwing me in a straitjacket and taking me to the fucking seclusion room, heavily sedated.
Yeah, that's a lot of force.
Oh, it took at least 5-10 minutes to fucking do it. And I was going bam, 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 hoping for a brain hemorrhage or something. Then when it finally cracked, I was like, yes! And my dreams of death ended there.
One can only try as hard as I.
Oh, yeah. So those were my fucking mental institution days there. Fuck. I mean, there was a lot of other shit I did there, but most of it's just like tame stories of how, like, I went fucking ice skating. Well, not ice skating once, roller skating quite a few times. I made out with a girl once in the Loony bin after we snuck away from Nature Walk. And then after about 5 minutes, we caught up. I mean, I didn't fucking get my hand underneath her clothes or anything. It was just like, we kissed a lot. It wasn't even a fucking French kiss. It was just, a bunch of fucking lip kisses. I was a fucking kid, Well,
there was that one girl that you told me about.
Oh, yeah. That was another rough and tumble party story. I do not remember exactly what happened, but my one buddy who was pretending to be me at the time because I wasn't there got really pissed off at her. And her punishment for whatever the fuck she did, I got to see as I walked in the door. I saw this chick's head bobbing down on my dad's crotch. I'm like, oh, fuck. What the hell did she do? Your sentence was to fucking suck my dad's cock. Keep in mind how dirty and filthy I've said he is.
God. Oh, I feel bad for her. Well, I don't think I don't think whatever she did, short of like mass murder, burning babies to death, I don't think that's worth it.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell happened, but he got pissed at her, and that was her sentence.